Corona, and we are all in strict lockdowns. So from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. we have the curfew, as well as we cannot travel out of the vicinity of our homes further than 5 kilometers. And if we do, we have to have a valid permit for essential workers. So here's to praying that this will be over soon, and that everybody is safe and observing all the rules. And wearing their masks and sanitizing and maintaining the distance and staying home, actually, basically. And really important that we all get vaccinated. So I've got mine fully vaccinated, and I hope that you are all on your way. This is just for your own safety. So this evening's Srimad Bhagavatam topic is going to be on Usha meets Aniruddha. So Aniruddha is a grandson of Lord Krishna, and how he meets Usha. Usha is a daughter of Banasur, who is a demon. Now, the reason I chose this particular topic is because we often ask, about demigods, especially Lord Shiva. He is all powerful. Is there ever any situation or occasion where Lord Shiva had to fight with Lord Krishna? So this particular pastime leads up to the situation where Lord Shiva himself has to fight with Lord Krishna, the Lord Krishna. So one may ask, if there was a fight between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, who won? How did the fight occur? Where did it occur? When did it occur? Why did it occur? And what would make Lord Shiva fight with Lord Krishna? Because Lord Shiva is a Mahavaishnava and is a Mahajan. And why would one want to fight with their lords? In a fierce battle with the intention of harming. So this is a very interesting story, and it is to do with when Lord Krishna's grandson Aniruddha meets Usha. So, and then another announcement obviously is this evening's chanting and Srimad Bhagavatam class is dedicated to my father figure, my uncle from Fiji, who has this morning left his body. Very auspicious occasion of the Krishna Astami season, and early in the morning, about 5 minutes away from the Sri Krishna Kalya Dham. He was also a very good associate of the Punjas family, and he worked for them also. So the Punjas family were there in his house. Punjas is quite a famous Vaishnav family in Fiji. So my uncle, his name was Rakesh Prasad. May Lord Krishna help him in his journey and give him, opportunity to serve at his lotus feet. And I pray to all the Vaishnavas out there to say a prayer for my father figure, Rakesh Prasad from Fiji, Lotoka, Fiji, from Krishna Kalya Dham. Hare Krishna. So without further ado, I'll thank you very much, and I'll start the chanting. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yashoda Nandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Vrindavan Dham Radhe Shyam Jaya Vrindavan Jai Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Krishna Balaram Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Astra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charna Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samved Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutle Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne. Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Suddha Shuddhi Nishtavem Tasya Vakya Anuvadane. Okay, so welcome to this evening Srimad Bhagavatam class, live streaming from home. During these times of Corona, just give me a second, I'll put my mridanga away and then I'll be with you in a second. Okay, so we are going to be speaking about the time where Lord Shiva has the opportunity to fight with Lord Krishna directly. And everybody must be wondering how and why Lord Shiva would want to fight with Lord Krishna. Serious fight. And he comes along with his sons, Ganesha, Lord Ganesha, Lord Kartik Swami, and all his military against Lord Krishna. And The story is, let me just fix the camera a little bit. It's a little bit tilted. I'm not sure if that's okay. So it is connected with Lord Krishna's grandson. So just to reiterate, mention this evening's chanting and class is dedicated to my uncle, my kaka, father's younger brother, who has left his body this morning, auspicious time of Krishna's Janmashtami season. He was a very good person associated with the Punjas family in Lotoka. Those who are from Fiji would know who the Punjas family is. He worked for them. He's a very good soul. Just 5 minutes from Krishna Kalyadham. Unfortunately, during this time of Corona, I'm unable to attend to all the formalities in Fiji, but I pray to all the Vaishnavas out there who are listening to please silently pray for my uncle who's been there for me when my father wasn't there, because my father passed away very early. So he's a father figure for me, and so I pray for his, for Lord Krishna to look after him, and I pray to all the Vaishnavas out there who are listening to say a little prayer for my uncle Rakesh Prasad from Lotoka, Fiji Islands. Krishna Kalyadham. So Sri Krishna Kalyadham. Okay, so the background to this story is that Lord Krishna had a son. His name was Pradyuman. So we know all that Lord Krishna was married to Rukmini. She was a princess. Rukmini was the sister of Rukmini and daughter of King Bhishmaka. So what had happened was Rukmini had her marriage to Shishupal, and obviously Rukmini didn't want to marry Shishupal. So she asked Lord Krishna very politely to kidnap her. So Rukmini had a very unfortunate incident where Lord Krishna defeated him in battle and stole away his sister, basically kidnapped his sister and married his sister, Rukmini. So Rukmini and Lord Krishna had a son, Pradyuman. Now Pradyuman's background is that he was Cupid incarnated. And he was born in the womb of Rukmini Devi and through the semen of Lord Krishna, basically, in a form of description. So what had happened was why the Cupid born through Krishna was that his actual original body was burnt to ashes by Lord Shiva. And the reason, when he was Kamdev is a demigod, and he had a function of inducing romance or lustful feelings, so that two parties would get together. So Kamadev was trying to get Lord Shiva to feel romantic towards Parvati Devi, because there was a prophecy that the son of Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi would kill a demon that was terrorizing the demigod at that time. The demon's name was Tarka. So Lord Shiva was in meditation and he showed no signs of marrying Parvati Devi. So it was Kamdev's job to go and induce some romance between the two. And obviously Lord Shiva was affected. He did feel romantic towards Parvati, but he suddenly found out why. So Kamdev was behind it, and he was very angry. He opened his third eye and burnt the body of Kamdev to ashes. So basically he was without body. So then Kamdev merged into the Vasudev, Lord Krishna, Lord Hari. So, and because of the demigods prayed to Lord Shiva and said, your son is supposed to kill Taraka and all this and have some mercy. So Lord Shiva predicted that Kamdev, the Cupid, will be born through Lord Krishna and Rukmini in Dwapar. So this is what happened. Pradyuman was born as a result of the marriage of Lord Krishna and Rukmini. Now Pradyuman was destined to kill Shambhara, the Asur demon. So and Shambhara knew that he was going to be killed by Pradyuman. So within 10 days of the birth of Pradyuman, Shambhara kidnapped the baby, Rukmini Devi's baby, and threw him in the sea. But as you know, whoever is protected by Krishna, no one can kill. And whoever Lord Krishna is going to kill, no one can protect. So obviously Pradyuman is Lord Krishna's son, so he was protected. So when he was thrown in the sea, a fish swallowed the Pradyuman, the baby, and that fish was sold to none other than Shambharashur demon as well for his dinner. So the fish was sent to the kitchen of Shambharashur, and there the cook cut open the fish and found this beautiful baby. And so this beautiful baby was taken care of by one of the maidservants. Her name was Mayavati. Now Mayavati's background is that she was Rati, Praduman's wife in the previous life. When Praduman, the Kamdev, was, as a demigod, his wife was Rati. So because Rati was crying that Kamdev has now lost her body and all this was his body, so she was reborn as a maid servant, while Kamdev was born as Praduman. So anyway, she was Mayavati. So as his wife, but she brought up this baby, in which this baby Praduman grew up very fast. So this is just the background. So he grew up very fast and became a young man. And then Mayavati felt very wifely towards him. I mean, she was, brought him up as a child. And then he said, "How can this be?" And so she described to him that I was your wife, Rati, in the previous birth, and you are Praduman, and you are meant to kill Taraka. Anyway, he kills Taraka, and then together they go back to Dwarka. And when he goes back to Dwarka, Rukmini and Krishna is very happy to receive them. Rukmini instinctively feels very motherly towards him, and she thinks that if my son was there, he would look exactly like Praduman, and he was. He was her son. So then Mayavati and Praduman there, and then suddenly there was not suddenly there was a swambar of Rukmi, again his daughter. Rukmi's daughter was Rukmavati. Okay, so first Rukmi gave his sister to Krishna, Lord Krishna, Rukmini. Now he's got a daughter, Rukmavati, who was in Swambar. So a Swambar ceremony where she has to choose a husband. And she saw Praduman there, who is Lord Krishna's son. And she decided to put the Varmala on him. So now Rukmi is even more displeased that he's got to give his daughter. So he was very resentful, but grudgingly he gave his daughter Rukmavati to Praduman, who is his sister's son. So through the womb of Rukmavati and Praduman, baby was born Aniruddha. So now we are coming to the actual story. Aniruddha is the grandson of Lord Krishna, or the son of Praduman and Rukmavati, who is the sister of Rukmi. So, and in this, there's another twist to the story. Is when Aniruddha was, old enough, Rukmi had a granddaughter, and and he had to grudgingly give his granddaughter in marriage to Praduman's son Aniruddha. So three of the ladies in his family were given to Lord Krishna's family. By the time the third granddaughter was to be given, he had this fight with Lord Balram, where he was trying to cheat Lord Balram in a game of dice, and Lord Balram felt cheated, so he basically killed Rukmi. So that was the end of Rukmi, Lord Krishna's brother-in-law, or Rukmini's brother. So anyway, the granddaughter was given. So here's Aniruddha. So that's Aniruddha. Now we're coming to the other side of the story, where Lord Shiva is preparing for this drama, all the fight. So what has happened is, if you remember King Bali, who gave Lord Vaman 3 steps, and gave the entire creation from him. He was the king of that, as donation to Lord Krishna. So what had happened is King Bali had 100 sons, and out of the 100 sons, the eldest one was Banasur. Banasur was born of Bali Maharaja's semen, so he was very strong. He was very pious, and he was however strong and pious and well mannered and all that he was still a demon. He was an asur, and he was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. So I'm going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Let me just try to get my book. Canto 10, Chapter 62. So out of the so this Chapter 62 is titled The Meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. So out of the 100 sons of King Bali, the oldest one was Banasur. He was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, who favored Bana so much that even demigods like Indra would serve him. So all the demigods were, like exactly treating him like they were the servants of Banasur. Actually, the reason why this story is narrated is because King Parikshit had asked Sukadev Goswami. He said the best of Yadu married Banasur's daughter, Aniruddha actually. Banasur had a daughter, that demon. her name was Usha, and she ended up marrying Aniruddha, Lord Krishna's grandson. So King Parikshit is asking, the best of Yadus married Banasur's daughter Usha, and as a result, there was a great fearsome battle occurred between Lord Hari and Lord Shankar. It's Lord Shiva. Please explain everything about this incident, O most powerful of mystics. So what had happened was King Parikshit Maharaj knew there was a great battle of Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna as a result of the marriage of the daughter of Banasur and Lord Krishna's grandson Anirudh. Now Banasur, as we just discussed, is Lord Shiva's ardent devotee, and he had a daughter, Usha, and Usha had eventually married Lord Krishna's grandson. Now Usha is the daughter of an Asur. So we're going to read about that. It's very interesting. Firstly, the fight between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna, and also we had just discussed about Praduman, where he was protected by Lord Krishna so that he would not die. When he was a baby, he was thrown in the sea. So anybody that Lord Krishna is protecting, no one can kill. So in this regard, we will see again, anybody that Lord Krishna wants to destroy, nobody can save them. So this is going to be another incident where Lord Krishna is not out to protect like he was protecting Praduman, but he's in fact out to destroy somebody, and nobody can protect him. So it's very interesting. Parikshit Maharaj continues. Sukadev Goswami said, he said, to answer Parikshit Maharaj's question on how there was a battle between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna. So, and the marriage of Usha and Aniruddha. So, Sukadev Goswami says, Bana was the oldest of the 100 sons fathered by the great saint Bali Maharaj, who gave the whole earth in charity to Lord Hari when he appeared as Vamandev. So, Banasur was born from Bali's semen, became a great devotee of Lord Shiva. His behavior was always respectable, and he was generous, intelligent, truthful, firm in his vows. The beautiful city of Shonitapur was under his dominion. So he was the king of the city of Shonitapur, this Banasur. And because Lord Shiva had favored him, the demigods waited on Banasur like menial servants. So these demigods we are talking about are Lord Indra and the rest of them in the heavenly planets. So once Shiva was dancing the Tandav Nritya. So we know that Lord Shiva, his another name of Lord Shiva is Lord Nataraj. Lord Nataraj, he actually shows his finger, let me see, like this, and he dances. Anyway, so Lord Shiva wanted to dance, and so it's called a Tandav Nritya, and Bana was especially satisfied the Lord. He especially satisfied the Lord by playing the musical instrument accompanied with 1,000 arms. So actually, his benediction, he had 1,000 arms. I know we've got two arms, but this Banasur, he had 1,000 arms. So imagine if he plays the drums with a musical instrument with the 1,000 arms, how nice it would sound. So Lord Shiva was able to dance very beautifully. He's a beautiful dancer, but in the sound of music. So he greatly pleased Lord Shiva with the playing of the musical instruments with his 1,000 arms. So the Lord and Master of all created beings, the compassionate refuge of his devotees, gladdened Banasur by offering him the benediction of his choice. So Lord Shiva, being pleased with him, gave him the benediction of his choice. And so Banasur asked Lord Shiva, the benediction he asked Lord Shiva was that Lord Shiva should be the guardian of his city, Shonitapur. So Lord Shiva was supposed to be the guardian of the place, his city, Shonitapur. So Lord Shiva agreed, because that's what he does. He's easily pleased and he grants benedictions. So Banasur was intoxicated with his strength, Actually, that's what happens when demons are given opulences or strengths or benedictions, blessings that they're not, ready for. Their demons, they get proud. So that is what happened. So Banasur was intoxicated with his strength, and one day when Lord Shiva was standing beside him, Banasur touched the Lord's lotus feet with his helmet, which shone like the sun. And Banasur said, "O Lord Mahadev, uh, I bow down to you, the spiritual master and controller of the worlds. You are like the heavenly tree that fulfills the desires of those who desire of those whose desires are unfulfilled." Actually, let's say that we'll go back to Rukmini and Lord Krishna. When Rukmini, all Vaishnavas, we pray to Lord Hari, Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. We don't really, Vaishnavas don't really, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that we do not accept the demigods as God. We accept Lord Hari, Lord Vishnu. So when Rukmini was going to be forcefully married to Shishupal, because her brother had arranged marriage with Shishupal, she had gone, although she had written a letter to Lord Krishna first and foremost to rescue her and kidnap her and marry her and take her away from there. She also went to the temple, Durga Devi's temple, goddess Durga. So you may ask, why would one, when they have Krishna, why would one go to Durga Devi's temple? And why would one go to Lord Shiva's temple? He is Manasur and he is saying that you fulfill all the desires. The reason is that we still respect, Rukmini Devi still respected that wishes are fulfilled by the demigods. That's the reason. However, you will learn later on that even though these demigods are empowered to give us the benedictions or to give anybody benedictions, they are essentially only allowed to give these benedictions once it's been sanctioned by Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna has to obviously say, yes, you can give this particular devotee or person this benediction, and then Lord, the demigod concerned, would give this benediction. So Rukmini Devi also had gone specifically to please Durga Devi, goddess Durga. And her prayers were to Durga, obviously was for Lord Krishna. So she would have stepped inside the temple with only Lord Krishna's lotus feet in her heart, in her mind, in her vision as her Lord. But with the intention that this desire would be fulfilled by Durga Devi. So when obviously that there was a period of time when she was really scared that Lord Krishna won't show up, and that he won't come and kidnap her as she asked, and she was really scared that she had not pleased Durga Devi for some reason, because Durga Devi is also Rudrani and Lord Shiva is Rudra, and so in the form of Rudra and Rudrani, they are very mightily angry and they're in the form of destruction. So in that form, they won't give that benediction, but instead there would be destruction instead of a blessing. So she was very fearful for a minute there that she might have offended Durga Devi and her wishes, her desires not fulfilled. But obviously that was not so, because Krishna showed up and just kidnapped her, just like a lion kidnaps its victim, and obviously fought with Rukmini at that time and took Rukmini away. So here Banasur is also praying to Lord Shiva. That is why all the Asurs, they have only material desires. They even have lusty desires. And that's why they would worship Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Lord Durga, Goddess Durga, or any other demigod for that matter, for benedictions in material life and material empowerments and material benedictions. So here, Banasura is addressing to Lord Shiva that, oh Lord Mahadev, I bow down to you, the spiritual master and controller of the worlds. You are like the heavenly tree that fulfills the desires of those whose desires are unfulfilled. So these 1,000 arms that you have bestowed upon me have become merely a heavy burden. Besides you, I find no one in these three worlds worthy to fight. So now he had this benediction of 1,000 arms. He's beginning to feel powerful and arrogant, and he wants to fight. So this is what happens when we give benedictions to fools, when we give blessings to fools or asurs, demons. They misuse the empowerment and they misuse the power given to them. That's why it's really very important, never to be very careful who we give this mercy to. That is why, I mean, let's just take for example, in our Vaishnav community, what are our benedictions? What are our blessings? Our blessings is that we receive the we receive the mercy of our spiritual master, or we receive devotional service in the temple, or we receive the benediction of a title that helps in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So it is really very careful. We have to be very careful who we give those rights and privileges to. We should not. We must be very vigilant in making sure that these persons are devoid of any what you call it, selfish motives that would hurt other Vaishnavas. So that is why Srila Prabhupada had put strict guidelines that one must chant the 16 rounds, one must observe the 4 regulative principles, and one must be in a service attitude mood. In other words, want the best for all the rest of the Vaishnavas and be of a service attitude to our Lord Krishna, our dear Lord Krishna, our deities of the temple, and be a good person rather than be a nasty person and try to cause harm or something like that, or be greedy, or try to steal from Krishna or something like that, something offensive. So we must always be very vigilant and very careful. The first thing that we normally ask is, are you vegetarian? And if not, then please continue to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and endeavor to become vegetarian. And then progress from there. Are you taking intoxication? Are you into illicit sex life, or are you gambling? So slowly, we teach the person to be detached from all these material practices, and then reform oneself and become of service to Lord Krishna. And then we give this benediction that here you can be initiated, here you can have the certain title or position in within ISKCON, that you can look after the Vaishnavas, say you are in charge of cooking, or you are in charge of operations, or cleaning, or whatever it is, whatever service it is. So we have to make sure that they don't have this asuric or demonic attitude, and that is why there's quite a rigorous procedure that one follows. And we can tell as soon as a person opens their mouth, what is they speak of, we know that this is the attitude, and or this is the stage, and what they must work on, and how much more chanting is needed or not needed. We can, as soon as person opens their mouth, we can know, okay, so this person is quite spiritualized. And so we can tell, especially if they are following the 4 regulative principles of vegetarian. So this is how we actually give our benedictions within ISKCON. But here this benediction has been given to Banasur, where he has 1,000 arms, and so he's itching to fight somebody because he's feeling proud and arrogant. So these benedictions are generally should not be given to asurs. But Lord Shiva, being so easily pleased and very compassionate, his name is Ashutosh, he gives this benediction to Banasur. So, according to the Acharyas, Banasur's subtle implication here is that so when I have defeated you, Lord Shiva, when I have defeated you, Lord Shiva, my world conquest will be complete and my desire for battle will be satisfied. So indirectly, he's saying you are the only one worthy of this fight, Lord Shiva. He wanted to defeat Lord Shiva. Obviously, Lord Shiva is not stupid. He would have known this straight away. So, eager to fight with the elephants who rule the directions, O primeval Lord, I went forth pulverizing mountains with my arms. So he couldn't find anyone to fight with. So the 1,000 arms, he was pulverizing mountains, which was really bad, which were itching for battle. But even those great elephants fled in fear. Hearing this, Lord Shiva became angry. Oh yeah, Lord Shiva gets angry very quickly as well. He becomes satisfied and happy very easily. He also becomes angry very easily. So they have to be very careful. He said, your flag will be broken, fool, when you have done battle with one who is equal. The fight will vanquish your conceit. So there he got he got chastised and cursed. So Lord Shiva could have immediately chastised Banasur and personally destroyed his pride, but since Banasur had been such a faithful servant, Shiva did not do so. Thus advised the unintelligent Banasur, he was delighted. So stupid of him. The fool then went home, O king, to wait for that Lord Girisha had predicted that the destruction of his prowess. So here Banasur is described as Kudi having bad intelligence and Kumati foolish because he completely misunderstood the actual situation. The demon was so arrogant that he was convinced no one could defeat him. He was delighted to hear that someone as powerful as Lord Shiva would come to fight with him and satisfy his itching for a battle. So even though Shiva had said that this person would break Bana's flag and destroy his prowess, the demon was too foolish to take this statement seriously and eagerly await the fight. So this is what I mean, that if Lord Krishna is protecting someone, no one can destroy that person. Even if they foolishly think, okay, yes, I can do something to this person, I can destroy this person. No. The answer is actually no. So Lord Krishna is protecting somebody, nobody can destroy him. And if Lord Krishna wants to destroy somebody, nobody can protect such a person. So we have to be very careful when dealing with Vaishnavas and offending them or trying to take advantage of them or doing something wrong, because they are under Krishna's protection. So ultimately and eventually you will lose quite badly. So this is the situation that we are reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Banasur was intoxicated with material prowess, could not believe that he was about to be cut down to size, which he will be, obviously. So in a dream, so Banasur had this daughter. In the meantime, his daughter's name is Usha, and she had a dream. As you know, we all have dreams. So in her dream was a little bit different. She had an encounter with the son of Pradyuman. Okay, so we had discussed about Pradyuman a little bit earlier. Pradyuman had a son with Rukmavati. Rukmavati was the daughter, the daughter of Rukmi, and Rukmi obviously is the brother of Rukmini. So Pradyuman and Rukmavati had a son, Aniruddha. And Usha here, who is the daughter of Banasur, she had a dream of Aniruddha. But she had never seen or heard of him before. So he was a total stranger to her. And it is, I will read a little bit of the purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following verses from Vishnu Puran, which explains Usha's dreams. O Brahman, when Usha, the daughter of Bana, happened to see Parvati playing with her husband Lord Shambhu, Usha intensely decided to experience the same feelings. So she happened to see Lord Shiva and Parvati Devi relating to each other, and she intensely felt those same feelings to experience. So at that time, goddess Gauri Parvati, who knows everyone's heart, told the sensitive young girl, don't be disturbed. You will have a chance to enjoy with your own husband. So that was very interesting. So this is the story behind Usha's background. So hearing this, Usha thought to herself, but when? And who will my husband be? And in response, Parvati addressed her once more. The man who approaches you in your dream on the 12th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Vaishakha will become your husband or princess. So she already received this benediction from Parvati Devi. So she consequently had a dream of this boy. So losing sight of him in her dream, Usha. Okay, so what had happened is Usha saw this dream of this young man several times, and he was relating to her, kissing her and all that. So then suddenly he disappeared. So she was in her dream enjoying his company so much, and then suddenly he disappeared. So she suddenly sat up in the middle of the night and said, she said crying, she said, "Where are you, my lover?" Because he had disappeared from her dreams. So she would try to look for her, and she was greatly disturbed and embarrassed. And coming to her senses, remembering that she was surrounded by her girlfriends, Usha naturally was very embarrassed to have cried out in that way. At the same time, she was very disturbed by the attachment of the beloved man who had appeared in her dreams. So she was quite attached to him. She was in love with him. So one of her girlfriends who heard her, her name was, one of them was the daughter of minister Kumbanda, and her name was Chitralekha. Now Kumbanda was a minister of Manasur. She was the daughter. So Chitralekha was a companion of Usha, and she was filled with curiosity. So she inquired from Usha, "Who are you searching for? Oh, fine browed one, what is this hankering you are feeling? Until now, oh princess, I haven't seen any man take your hand in marriage." So, princesses are usually confined to their palace. They don't really go out and see anyone or associate with anyone. So how was it possible that she was, hankering for a man when she never seen one? So Usha said to her friend Chitralekha, "In my dream, I saw a certain man who had dark blue complexion, lotus eyes, yellow garments, and mighty arms. He was a kind who touches women's hearts. So it is that lover I search for. After making me drink the honey of his lips, he has gone elsewhere, and thus he has thrown me, hankering fervently for him in the ocean of distress." So Chitralekha said, "Don't worry, I will remove your distress. If he is to be found anywhere in the three worlds, I will bring this future husband of yours who has stolen your heart." So she's going to bring. So please show me who he is. So interestingly, the name Chitralekha indicates a person skilled in the art of drawing or painting. Chitra means excellent or variegated, and Lekha means the art of drawing or painting. So Chitralekha, as described in the following verse, will now utilize this talent. She will utilize this talent as indicated by her name. So saying this, Chitralekha proceeded to draw accurate pictures of various guys. There were demigods, Gandharvas, there were Siddhas, there were Charanas, Panagas, Daityas, Vayadharas, Yakshas, and humans. She drew everyone eligible and handsome more. Sukadev Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, "O king, among the humans, Chitralekha drew pictures of Vrishnis, including Surasen, Anakadumi, Balaram, and Krishna." When Usha saw the picture of Praduman, Praduman is obviously the father of Aniruddha, and he's also Cupid. So when Usha saw the picture of Praduman, she became very bashful. And when she saw Aniruddha's picture, she bent her head down in embarrassment. Smiling, she exclaimed, "He's the one." So she knew who she was looking for in a dream. He's the one, it's him. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives this further insight. When Usha saw the picture of Praduman, she became bashful because she thought, "This is my father-in-law." That's why she became bashful, because she recognized her father-in-law. And then when she saw her lover Aniruddha, she cried out in joy. So Chitralekha, endowed with mystic powers, she also had some other interesting talents other than drawing pictures accurately of eligible men. She had some other mystic powers. She was able to travel anywhere and kidnap people and bring them back. So she was able to like travel to Dwarka where Anirudh was. So with her mystic powers, she went to Dwarka and he recognized through her mystic power. She recognized Anirudh as Lord Krishna's grandson. So she knew this guy that I've just drawn, that Usha has recognized as a lover and a husband, is actually Anirudh. She knew. So, my dear king, that's what Sukadev Goswami is addressing Parikshit Maharaj, my dear king. She then traveled by mystic skyway to Dwarka, the city under Lord Krishna's protection. And there she found Pradyuman's son Anirudh, slept on a bed. With her yogic power, she took him away to Shonitapur. So Shonitapur is where Banasur is living, and he has asked Lord Shiva to be the guardian of that city. And that is where Usha lives too, and Chitralekha lives there. So Chitralekha transported, or basically kidnapped, sleeping Aniruddha with her yogic power, and she took him away to Sonitapur, where she presented her girlfriend Usha with her beloved. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows on this verse. It is stated here that Chitralekha resorted to mystic power, which is called Yogam Ashtita. As explained in the Harivamsa and other literatures, she needed to employ her powers because when she arrived at Dwarka, she found herself unable to enter Lord Krishna's city. So at that time, Sri Narad Muni instructed her in the mystic art of entering. So Narad Muni was very responsible for the kidnapping of Aniruddha. He actually helped Chitralekha enter Dwarka and taught her the mystic powers on how to enter Dwarka and then kidnap. This is Narad Muni. He's very, very handy in Lord Krishna's pastimes. And this is narrated by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So at that time, Sri Narad Muni instructed her in the mystic art of entering. Some authorities also say that Chitralekha is herself an expansion of Yoga Maya, which really makes sense. That's why she knows the mystic arts. So when Usha, back in Sonitapur, when Anirudh is there now, when Usha beheld him, the most beautiful of men, her face lit up with joy. She took the son of Pradyuman to her private quarters, which men were forbidden even to see because she's a princess. And there she enjoyed with him. So Usha worshipped Anirudh with faithful service, offering him priceless garments, along with garlands, fragrances, incense lamps, and sitting places, and so on. She also offered him beverages, all types of food and sweet words. As thus he remained hidden in the young lady's quarters, Anirudh did not notice the passing of the days. So many days passed, he had no idea. He must have been really enjoying himself, and Usha must have been serving him so nicely that he lost track of time, and many, many days had passed. So Anirudh did not notice the passing of the days, for which his senses were captivated by Usha, whose affection for him ever increased. So she was also very much in love with him. They both loved each other, and they meant to marry each other. So that's why it was predicted by Parvati Devi that this particular boy, whom you will dream at certain time, will be your husband. So anyway, in the guards, in the palaces of a princess, these things don't happen. And the princess is never, no one sets eyes on such a princess, so let alone associate with her in this way. So the female guards were there guarding, and they could notice some symptoms of romantic involvement. I'm just reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam 10.62.26. If anybody's interested, I'm reading directly. The female guards eventually noticed unmistakable symptoms of romantic involvement in Usha, who was having broken her maiden vows, was being enjoyed by the Yadu hero. Yadu hero, as you know, Krishna's dynasty is the Yadu dynasty. So he's a Yadu hero, Anirudh, and was showing signs of conjugal happiness. So the guards went to Banasur and told him. The guards had to go and tell her father, Banasur, "O king, we have detected in your daughter the kind of improper behavior that spoils the reputation of a young girl's family." So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has defined the words bhata as female guards, whereas Jiva Goswami defines it as eunuchs and others. Grammatically, the word can function both ways. So she was not guarded by men. She was guarded by the eunuchs or females, guards. So that's how strict this princess was, being brought up as. So the guards feared that if Banasur found out about Usha's activities from some other source, he would severely punish them, and thus they personally informed him that his young daughter was no longer innocent. So we have been carefully watching her, over her, and never leaving our post or master, so we cannot understand how this maiden, whom no man can even see, has been corrupted within the palace. They could not understand. So let's continue. So, very agitated in hearing the daughter's corruption, Banasur rushed at once to the maiden's quarters, and there he saw the pride of the Yadus, Aniruddha, with his daughter. Banasur saw before him Cupid's own son, because we must remember that Aniruddha is the son of Cupid himself. So, how attractive, how beautiful he must have been. So he saw before him Cupid's own son, possessed with unrivaled beauty, with dark blue complexion, yellow garments, lotus eyes, and formidable arms. His face was adorned with effulgent earrings and hair, and also with smiling glances. As he sat opposite his most auspicious lover, playing with her at dice, there hung between his arms a garland of spring jasmines that he had been speared with kumkum powder or from a breast when he had embraced her. Banasur was astonished to see all this. So Banasur actually saw that attractiveness of Anirudh, and within his heart, he actually thought that there's no better man for his daughter anyway. But he was proud and arrogant, so he wished to, strictly speaking, imprison and take Anirudh, even though he could see that Anirudh was a hero and couldn't have been a better choice for his daughter. So seeing Banasur enter with many armed guards, Aniruddha raised his iron club and stood resolute, ready to strike anyone who attacked him. He resembled death personified, holding his rod of punishment. So Aniruddha prepared for fight to defend himself. And so the guards, they attacked him, and Aniruddha struck them down, just as a leader of a pack of boars strikes back at dogs. Hit by his blows, the guards fled the palace, running for their lives with shattered heads, thighs, and arms. So he defeated all the guards. But even as Aniruddha was striking down the army of Bana, that powerful son of Bali angrily caught him with the mystic Nagapash ropes. Nagapash ropes, so Banasur had some mystic powers. And he used that Nagapash their ropes to bind Aniruddha. So Aniruddha was captured by Banasur. And when Usha saw that, she cried, she wailed, she screamed really loudly. She was full of grief and depression. She wept. The acharyas here, this is a purport, they explained Banasur could not actually capture the powerful son of Lord Krishna. However, Lord's Leela Shakti or pastime potency allowed this to happen. Actually, that's true. Those Yadus, they're all heroes. They are all undefeatable, practically. So this must have been Lord Krishna's Leela. Pastime allowed this to happen so that the events described will take place next. So I'm going to be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 63 now, and the title is Lord Krishna Fights with Banasur. So this is the reason why we come to the place where Lord Shiva has to directly fight with Lord Krishna, and why and how. So it's interesting. We will have to cover this very quickly. So when Aniruddha did not return from Shonitapur, his family and friends passed the 4 months of rainy season in extreme distress. It must have been 4 months that Aniruddha did not return. And then when they finally heard from Narad Muni how Aniruddha had been captured, a large army of best of Yadu warriors under Krishna's protection, they set off for Banasur's capture. So all of Krishna's army and Lord Krishna, they all went. Even Lord Balram went. Banasur's, fierce army was waiting. So I'm just going to skip and go to all this. So Lord Balram went with Lord Krishna. The chiefs of Satatakle and Praduman. Praduman also went. So Usha's father-in-law went. Satyaki went. Gada, Samba, Sarana, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra, and others converged with an army of 12 divisions and laid siege on Banasur's capital, completely surrounding the city from all sides. The city obviously is Shonitapur. So Banasur became filled with anger, and seeing them destroy his city's suburban gardens and ramparts and watchtowers and gateways, and thus he went out to confront them with an army of equal size. So Lord Rudra, so this is Lord Shiva, because he had promised, he had given the benediction to Banasur to be the guardian of his city. So he was obliged, because he was a guardian of the city, and the city was under siege, under attack by Lord Krishna and his army. So according to the benediction, Lord Shiva was obliged to protect the city from anyone who destroyed or tried to destroy the city. So he went as Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartika, and the Pramathas came riding on Nandi, his bull carrier, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Banasur's behalf. So this is the reason why Lord Shiva had to fight Lord Krishna, because of the benediction he gave to this Asur to be the guardian of his city. So when Lord Krishna came to rescue his grandson and attacked Banasur's city, Lord Shiva was obliged to protect the city as his guardian. So Srila Sridhar Swami states that the word Bhagavan is used here to indicate that Lord Shiva is by nature all-knowing and thus was well aware of Lord Krishna's greatness. Lord Shiva knows how great Lord Krishna is. So he was going to fight a losing battle. He already knew that. Still, although Lord Shiva knew Lord Krishna would defeat him, he joined the battle against him to demonstrate the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states that Lord Shiva entered the battle for two reasons. First, to increase Lord Krishna's pleasure and enthusiasm, and second, to demonstrate that the Lord's incarnation as Krishna, although enacting human-like pastimes, is superior to other avatars, such as Lord Ramchandra. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur further states in this regard that Yogamaya, Lord Krishna's internal potency, bewildered Lord Shiva just as she bewildered Brahma. So in support of this statement, the Acharya states the phrase Brahma Rudradi Mohanam from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Of course, Yogmaya's job is to make fine arrangements for the Lord's pastimes. And thus, Lord Shiva became enthusiastic to battle the Supreme Lord Krishna. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to fight Lord Krishna. Unless he's under Yogmaya's mystic powers, it was probably not possible. And in any case, he already knew Lord Krishna's greatness. So he was entering that as a losing battle already. But he did it to, obviously, for the two reasons we just discussed, to give pleasure to Lord Krishna and to prove that Lord Krishna was the most powerful of all his avatars. He knew that he was going to lose from the beginning. So the fight happened. The most astonishing, tumultuous, and hair-raising battle then commenced, with Lord Krishna matched against Lord Shankar. So Lord Krishna fought Lord Shiva. Oh my goodness, how would it have been? Like, I don't think I can even imagine it, but they were witnessing, the demigods came to witness that fight. It was probably most unimaginable. Fighting is not my forte, so I don't like to watch violence or things like that. So I wouldn't probably not enjoy watching this one, but it was being witnessed. Lord Krishna was fighting Lord Shiva and Pradyuman against Kartika Swami. So Lord Shiva had gone with Kartik and Lord Ganesh, all of the rest, and was fighting. So Lord Balram was fighting with Kumbanda and Kupakarna, Samba with Bana's son, and Satyaki, he was fighting with Banasur. Pradyuman was fighting against Kartik. Brahma and other ruling demigods, along with the Siddhas, Charanas, and great sages, as well as Gandharvas, Apsaras, Yakshas, they all came in their celestial airplanes to watch the battle. And with sharp pointed arrows discharged from his bow, Sharanga, Lord Krishna drove away the various followers of Lord Shiva, Bhutas, Pramathas, Guyakas, Dakinis, Yadudanas, Vetalas, Vinakayaks, Pretas, Matas, Pishachas, Kushmandas, and Brahma Rakshasas. So with his arrows, Lord Krishna chased them all away. And Lord Shiva, the wielder of the trident, shot various weapons at Lord Krishna, the wielder of Sharanga. But Lord Krishna was not least perplexed. He neutralized all these weapons with appropriate counter weapons. Then Lord Krishna counteracted the Brahmastra with another Brahmastra. So Brahmastra was used. The wind weapon, the mountain weapon, the fire weapon, the rain weapon. Lord Shiva's personal Pashupatra, Pashupatrashta. Oh, how do you say this? Pashupatastra. Pashupatastra. Weapon with his own personal weapon, Narayana Astra. So Pashupat Astra and Narayana Astra, they fought. So after bewildering Lord Shiva by making him yawn, so Lord Krishna also fired a yawning that makes a person yawn and makes them tired. So Lord Krishna fired that. And what happened is Lord Shiva started yawning. And then while Lord Shiva was yawning and feeling very tired, Lord Krishna proceeded to strike down Banasur's army with his sword and club and arrows. So Lord Kartik was also distressed by a flood of Pradyuman's arrows, and Lord Kartik was bleeding and injured. So Lord Kartik Swami settled on his peacock and he went away. He left the battlefield because he lost from Pradyuman. And Kumbanda and Kumbkarna, tormented by Lord Balram's club, they all fell down dead. When the soldiers of these two demons saw that their leaders had been killed, they scattered in all directions. So Banasur's army ran away. So Banasur was very furious to see this. So he left the fight with Satyaki and he charged Lord Krishna. So he went directly to Lord Krishna because Lord Shiva was started yawning. So then Banasur fought with his 5-string arrows and all that. And Lord Sri Hari, Lord Krishna, split every one of Banasur's bows. So basically, struck down his, broke his arrows, struck down his chariot driver, chariots and horses, and then the Lord then sounded his conch shell. And then Banasur's mother, actually Banasur was worshipping a goddess, goddess. Her name was Kotara. And she wanted to save her son's life because she could see that Lord Krishna was going to defeat Banasur. Kotara is a goddess. She's a goddess. So she went in front of Lord Krishna to save her son, Banasur. She went naked and with her hair scattered everywhere. And so Lord Krishna saw this goddess, naked goddess. He turned away. He turned his face away. He didn't want to see it. So this is when Banasur took the advantage and ran away because he was, wounded. So while he ran away and fled the city, Lord Shiva's followers also had been driven away. What Lord Shiva did, he set the Shiva Jvar, which had 3 heads and 3 feet, and pressed forward to attack the Lord Krishna. As Shiv Jvar approached, he seemed to burn everything in 10 directions. So it's a very hot, like fire, hotter than the sun, 12 times hotter than the sun. It's called the Shiv Jvar. That's the weapon that Lord Shiva set on Lord Krishna. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes, the terrible Shiv Jwar had 3 legs, 3 heads, 6 arms and 9 eyes, showering ashes. He resembled Yamaraj at the time of universal annihilation. So seeing this, Lord Narayan, Lord Krishna, then had a counter weapon for Shiv Jwar, and that is known as the Vishnu Jwar. So he released his own personified fever weapon, Vishnu Jwar. The Shiva Jwar and Vishnu Jwar battled each other. Now the Vishnu Jwar is extreme cold. So we know that extreme cold actually defeats extreme heat. People might be able to tolerate heat, but not extreme cold. So Shiv Jwar was overwhelmed by the strength of the Vishnu Jwar, and Shiv Jwar started crying out in pain. And finding no refuge, the frightened Shiv Jwar actually went to Lord Shiva for protection, but Lord Shiva could not protect him. So then the Shiv Jwar couldn't do anything else, had to go to Lord Krishna. He approached Lord Krishna, the master of the senses, hoping to attain shelter. Thus, with joined palms, he began to praise the Lord. So what had happened was he actually said a lot of good prayers, wonderful, beautiful prayers. And Lord Krishna then, what did Lord Krishna do? These prayers are very, very beautiful. I would advise you to read it, 10.63.27. But we don't have time to go over it. He does say, I'm tortured by the power of your terrible weapon, which is cold yet burning. All embodied souls must suffer as long as they remain bound to material ambitions and thus averse at saving your lotus feet. So the Supreme Lord said, O three-headed one, I'm pleased with you. So his prayers were so nice. That is why I do encourage you to read. Today we don't have the time. But Lord Krishna says, O three-headed one, I'm pleased with you. May your fear of my fever weapon be dispelled. May whoever remembers our conversation here have no reason to fear you. Thus addressed, Maheshwara Jwar bowed down at the infallible Lord and went away. But Banasur then appeared and fought with Lord Krishna. So what had basically happened is Lord Krishna then, chopped off all his arms one by one, Banasur's arms. And to the point that Banasur was defeated. And what had happened was Lord Shiva then, Lord Shiva could not protect Banasur. So this is what I was just actually explaining before, that whoever Lord Krishna chooses to destroy, nobody can save such a person. So even Lord Shiva could not save Banasur, because Lord Krishna eventually chopped off the 1,000 arms, one after another. And he was only left with 4 arms. Four arms. So then at that time, Lord Shiva came and bowed down to Lord Krishna and offered his humble respects, obeisances, and prayed and begged for the protection of his devotee, Banasur. And Lord Krishna, having understood that, Banasur has been chastised and his arms have been, as Lord Shiva had predicted, the defeat anyway. That had happened, the Leela had happened. So Lord Krishna has said that because he's the son of Bali Maharaj, I had promised Prahlad Maharaj that I would not destroy any of his descendants or anyone from his family line. So Lord Krishna could not kill Banasur anyway. So Lord Krishna then actually offered his protection to Banasur. He said, from henceforth, you will be under my protection. And so Banasur was forgiven. And Lord Shiva, being the most ardent devotee of Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna gave them that benediction and accepted Lord Shiva's prayers, humble prayers for surrender and shelter and protection. So that's what happened. And then what had happened is then after that, I'm just going to read. I don't know how much time we've got left. I'll just skip ahead. So Lord Krishna then eventually, let me just go quickly. Banasur actually then offered his daughter to Aniruddha after that fight. And Lord Shiva had actually said, this Banasur is my dear and faithful follower, and I have awarded him freedom from fear. Therefore, my Lord, please grant him your mercy, just as you shower mercy to Prahlad, the Lord of the demons. So that was the prayer that Lord Shiva gave to Lord Krishna. And the Supreme Lord said, my dear Lord, for your pleasure, we must certainly do what you have requested us. I fully agree with your conclusion. Wow. So I will not kill this demonic son of Virochani, for I gave Prahlad Maharaj the benediction that I would not kill any one of his descendants. It was to subdue Banasur's false pride that I severed his arms, and I slew his mighty army because it had become a burden upon the earth. So that's what Lord Krishna's main business is, to remove the burden of this earth. This demon who still has 4 arms will be immune to old age and death. He will serve as one of your principal attendants. Thus, he will have nothing to fear on my account. So he actually granted Banasur immortality, immune to old age and death. Thus, attaining freedom from fear, Banasur offered obeisances to Lord Krishna by touching his head to the ground. Bana then seated Aniruddha and his bride on their chariot and brought them before the Lord. So now Aniruddha gets his wife. Actually, the Yadus, the Yadu heroes, they marry in great pomp, but every time somebody gets married in the Yadu dynasty, there's a huge battle, huge fight. Like whenever Krishna married all those princesses, he never marries them without a battle, killing somebody. Somebody has to die before these princesses get married to Krishna or any of his sons. So this is what happened before Aniruddha actually married the daughter of Banasur, Usha. So at the front of the party, Lord Krishna then placed Aniruddha and his bride, both beautifully adorned with fine clothes and ornaments, and surrounded them with a full military division. Thus Lord Krishna took his leave of Lord Shiva and departed. The Lord then entered his capital. The city was lavishly decorated with flags and victory arches, and his avenues crossways were all sprinkled with water. And conch shells and anakas and dubi drums resounded, and the Lord's relatives, Brahmins and general populace all came forward to greet him respectfully. So it is stated here, we've come to the end of the chapter, whoever rises early in the morning and remembers Lord Krishna's victory in his battle with Lord Shiva will never experience defeat. And this is just to reiterate that whoever Lord Krishna wants to protect, no one can destroy. And whoever Lord Krishna wants to destroy, no one can protect. Lord Shiva fought with Lord Krishna, even he knew he was going to lose. But Lord Shiva was able to protect his devotee also with ardent prayers. So we must respect that. And it is stated here, whoever rises early in the morning and remembers Lord Krishna's victory in this battle with Lord Shiva will never experience defeat. Thus ends the purport of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 63rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Krishna Fights with Banasur. So that concludes our class for this evening. Thank you all very much for listening. I wish you all a very safe lockdown period. And remember to chant Hare Krishna, and remember to pray for the safety of everyone. And hopefully we are all out of this difficult period as soon as possible. Please spare thought for those of us who are suffering with Corona right now. There are devotees in Fiji whom I have been in contact with. They are suffering. Despite having the vaccination, they are suffering. They have contracted this contagious disease. So it is quite deadly, and so we must take it seriously. And if we are asked to stay at home, please do stay at home. Unless, of course, you have the money to spend, because in Australia here we can be fined about $5,000. Tens of $1,000s have already, hundreds of thousands have already been fined to people who have broken the rules. So, but it is for your own safety. Our hospitals here are overloaded, and in triage, the ambulances are waiting in queues. Blacktown, Westmead, for 6 hours. These are emergency ambulances, and they've been waiting for 6 hours to be seen, corona patients, and people have been known to die in their houses. So if you've been asked to isolate, please do so. Take care. Thank you all for listening. Continue to chant and take shelter with the Lord Krishna, Lord Gopinath, and he is our hero, Lord Krishna, and he will protect us, provided we think of him all the time when we chant. Have a nice evening. Hare Krishna to you all.